Hey everybody, this is Combat Painter's Tabletop Winner Baseball channel, and we are broadcasting a game from 1988, September 26th or 27th. Can't remember which. It's the Mets at the Phillies. It's towards the end of the season, and we are in the top of the fourth inning. McReynolds singled, and then was caught stealing. Howard Johnson flew out to left field, and then Gary Carter, the catcher for the Mets, is up here in the top of the fourth, and we rolled. Let's take a look at what we did. We rolled a 110 on Carter's card is going to be a deep drive, and let's see what that is. It's a split die, and that ball is hit deep to left field, and back goes the left fielder Bradley to the track, to the wall. It's out of here. 1-0 Mets, thanks to the round tripper by Gary the Kid Carter. Now, I'm going to be clarifying some of the things I do on my scorecard. As you can see, I wrote HR for home run, and the square is a run, and then a dot is for the RBI. When it's a single, I write a 1B. When it's a double, I write a 2B. If it's a triple, it's a 3B. Then you have the walk, and you have a K for a strikeout. A walk is a W, and a strikeout is categorized as a K. And each position actually has a number. They're not written here because I've memorized them. Starts with a pitcher's a 1, the catcher's a 2, first baseman's a 3, second baseman's a 4, shortstop is a 6, third baseman's a 5. It goes 1 to 9. Left fielder's a 7, center fielder's an 8, and a right fielder is a 9. I'm doing this because somebody asked me to help them score, learn how to score. So I'm doing that as I go. I won't do too much of it. Just a little. We're in the top of the fourth. It's Marvin Freeman pitching for the Phils. He was 2-3 with a 6.10 ERA in 52 innings. I'm using the actual lineups from this game, and Kevin Elster is the batter for the Mets. Let's look at Kevin Elster's card, and that's a 3-10. So let's go off Elster's card. A 10 has popped up to the left side. Third baseman, James, playing out of position. He's there. And that's all she wrote for the 3.5 innings. We go to the bottom of the fourth now. It's 1-0 Mets. All right, let's see. So for the Phils, it's going to be Juan Samuel facing Sid Fernandez. Fernandez was 12. You can see it here. He was 12-10 with a 3.03 ERA in 187 innings. He's probably not going to be visible unless I put him there, and there's no place really to make him very visible. So I'm just going to roll here, and then I'll see what I do from there. 1-9. 1-9, you can see that. So that's going to be off Samuel's card, and that's a fly ball lifted to center. And Dykstra, playing center for the Mets, is there for out number 1. Next is Ricky Jordan. And that's a 6-9er, and that's going to be off of Fernandez. 6-9 is a fly ball lifted to left. It says left field, so that's a 7. 2 outs. Lance Parrish, the catcher, and that's a 3-9, and that's a split die. It's going to be trouble. 12, and that's laced in the gap, but it's cut off quickly, and Parrish is on with a single. And Ronnie Jones had a pretty good season. If you can see there, he batted .290 with 8 home runs and 124 at bats, an equivalent of about a season 40 home runs. And that's a 110. That ball is lined and caught by the second baseman, Wally Backman. So L4, and that's out number 3. Put the X there to let me know who starts off the next inning. And I actually pulled this idea with the X from a book on Sandy Koufax. The inside cover of the book actually has an old scorecard from one of his no-hitters, and they use this X system to kind of flag and alert you to that that's the next batter that starts where the X is. So it's Freeman. So that's it for 4 innings, and it's 1-0 Mets on the Carter home run. We're going to the top of the fifth. Let's get started. It's going to be Sid Fernandez leading it off. It's a 111, and that's a ground ball hit right to shortstop. That's Gutierrez over to first, one away. Dykstra, and that's 5-9 off of Freeman. 5-9, and that's a hard hit ground ball, but that's an X. Samuel is at second. He's a 3. We rolled a 15. A 3 on a 15 is a ball that Samuel handles over to first, out number 2. And I put the outs in the upper right-hand corner just to remind me that there's 2 outs. So you don't do 2 outs and then switch innings, or you don't go 4 outs. Weird things happen, especially when they start getting hits and walks and you start making pitching changes. Things can get kind of hairy. 5-8, let's look at Freeman's card. 5-8, and that's ball 4. So Backman, he walks. That's his second walk of the game. He's struck out in between. And it's Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez, he lined out to the third baseman, and then he walked. Here's the pitch. What is that? I don't know what to do with that thing. And the dice don't show, so let's pull them out there. Okay, 6-11. That's going to be off Freeman's card, and that's 6-11 is a ground ball pitcher X. Freeman is a 2. Let's roll. That's a 19 on a 2, and that's roll again. And that's an 11 now, and he boots it. That's right, a comebacker to Freeman, and it looked like it was a playable ball, but he just seemed to take his eye off it, and that's first and second now, E1. So with 2 outs, there's a walk, and then there's an error. So now the Mets are in business potentially with Darryl Strawberry, who in yesterday's game against the Cards hit 2 home runs and drove in 5, so he's pretty hot. He's our hot batter. He singled in the first and struck out in the third. So here's the pitch to Strawberry, and that's a 3-9. It's off Strawberry's card, and that's a deep fly ball to right field, but he missed that just by a little bit, and that goes to the warning track. But there is Jones is there for the F9 and the third out. Go to the bottom of the fifth now. Mets failed to score on a walk and an error. Go to the bottom of the fifth. It's going to be James, Gutierrez, and Freeman. Chris James plays out of position, generally an outfielder, and he's playing third base for the Phillies in these games at the end of the season. I imagine that they were maybe preparing him for the following season. Oh, wait, does have a... I just noticed he does have a third base qualification there. And it's a 4, which I made him a 4 because I said, well, he's playing out of position. I never saw that, and he does have it there. So he did play some third base, so good. All right, it's 2-4. Let's look. That's a ground ball hit at the shortstop, Elster. And Elster over to first, one away. Gutierrez grounded out in his first at bat. Let's see what this shows us. Point out there. It's a 4. It's going to be off of Sid Fernandez's card. A 4-3. It's ground ball shortstop X. Elster's a 2-15. And that's a ground ball that Elster handles over to first, out number 2. And it's the pitcher Freeman. We're trying to get these pitchers to get some innings. A lot of pitching changes slows down the game, so I play kind of my own system where I try to be, as realistic as possible, but I try to push for the starters to give me a few innings at least, so I don't get stuck having to make, 4 pitching changes on each side. And 2-5, it's enough with me slowing down the game with my comments. But to have to do the pitching changes and the pinch hitters and all that, man, I could one 30-minute, 40-minute game becomes an hour-long game, and sometimes it's just not really a good game to play that long. So anyway, so that's the third out of the inning. We go to the top of the sixth. It's 1-0 Mets. So this is a pretty decent game. That's why I pulled it up in the fourth inning to broadcast it. Had it been a blowout or something like that, I would have just kind of played it along myself. So 1-6 here, 1-6 on McReynolds, and that's line base hit for McReynolds. That's his second hit of the game, and he's an ace stealing. I just want to have him try to steal here, and he's going to do that, and he is safe. Throw is not in time. Looked like the catcher, Parrish, had a little trouble getting it out of his glove. Next is Hojo, Howard Johnson with a runner at second base. Nobody out here in the top of the sixth. Here's the pitch to Hojo. It's a 4-7 off Freeman. A 4-7 is ball 4. So Johnson walks. You got first and second now. And Gary Carter hit a home run in the top of the fourth inning. He's 2 for 2. And he's responsible for the sole Met run. Gary Carter, here's the pitch to Carter. It's a 6-5 off Freeman's card, and that's line base hit. The Mets are waving McReynolds, and he's safe at home under the tag, and they're going to try to send Johnson to second, and he's out at second base. He hesitated. At first, he wasn't going to go, and then he saw the throw home and said, you know what, I'm going to try this. But Parrish made a great throw to second base, and they threw out Johnson at second. So that's it was, I'm sorry, they threw out Carter at second base. It is, I'm sorry. Johnson's out at third, so he's out at third. Carter's safe at first on a single, RBI single. And the Mets pick up a run. It's 2-0 now. And Kevin Elster with Carter on at first and 1 out. And that's a 6-11, and that's a ground ball back to the pitcher. Pitcher is a 2, and that's a 6. And that's going to be a 1, and back to Freeman. Freeman turns around, and Wheels throws it to short and back to first. And that's a 1-6-3 double play. Phillies are out of the inning. Could have been much worse for them. The Mets end up scoring only 1 run despite having 2 hits and a walk. And it's the bottom of the 6th now. In the bottom of the 6th, we're going to have Phil Bradley leading it off for the Phils. He is 0-2 at this point, and that is a 5-9er off of Fernandez card, and that's a ground ball X. Second baseman for the Mets is Bachman. He's a 3-18. 3-18. That's a roll again. Let's do that again. And it's a 16 now, and that's going to be an out. Bachman makes the play. 1 away. 4-3, so it's second baseman to first baseman. Second baseman's a 4. So you got to learn those numbers if you're going to keep score. Old school. I also use the app called iScore. It does all the stats for you, but since I'm just playing little bits and pieces of different seasons just to enjoy the cards and enjoy the game, I'm not worried about it. It's a 1-7. Bob Dernier, he batted .289 in 166 at bats with 3 doubles, 1 triple, 1 home run. Say 1-7. That's a ground ball right at the third baseman. Johnson over to first, 2 away. And next is Juan Samuel, who's over 2. He grounded out and flied out. Here's the pitch to Samuel. And that's a 6-6, and that's a strikeout. So Fernandez gets them looking for out number 3. Go to the top of the 7th now. It's 2-0 Mets. A close game going here. Somewhat of a pitcher's duel. And Fernandez is leading it off for the Mets here in the top of the seventh. And that's a 6-7 off of Freeman, 6-7. And that's a split die. And that's line drive caught by the third baseman. So L5, one away. Next is Len Dykstra. Has had some trouble with the Taxman in the last few years. 5-10. And that's a catcher's card, X. Carter's a 2. And we roll a 7. And that's a dribbler. Carter gets to it quickly. I'm sorry. Parrish is a 3. And we rolled a 7. Safe on error. So it's a dribbler that Parrish can't get a hold of. And that's going to be an E2, so Dykstra, threat to steal, and there he goes, and he's out. Caught stealing. Nice throw by Parrish for out number 2. Second time the Mets have been aggressive, and it hasn't paid off. So Dykstra gets thrown out after the error. He reached on an error and tries to steal second, gets thrown out, and he is a double A. And this is a 4-3. So that's off Freeman's card. Ground ball, shortstop, X. The shortstop for the Phillies is Gutierrez. He's a 4, and that's a 3. And that is going to be a single for Backman. Wally Backman with a single. Ball that just could evaded Gutierrez's outstretched glove. And Keith Hernandez with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Mets are leading it 2-0. We're replaying a 1988 game. Actual lineups for 1988 in Philadelphia. And it's Keith Hernandez with 2 outs. Keith Hernandez lined out. He walked, and then he reached on an error by Freeman. The pitcher for the Phils is the starter, Marvin Freeman. He's still in the game here in the top of the 7th inning, giving us some innings. Love that when those starters give us some innings. It's a 4-9. A 4-9 is a weak ground ball on the right side, and that coming in for that is Samuel, and he throws out Hernandez for out number 3. We go to the bottom of the 7th. 2-0 Mets. It's going to be Jordan, Parrish, and Jones. Ricky Jordan batted .308 and 11 home runs. He's a first baseman. Not a base stealer, but has decent running speed. 4-10, that's going to be off of Sid Fernandez's card, 4-10. And that's a split die, 113. So let's see what we roll here. And that's an 18, so that's going to turn into a 18. Is a fly ball that's caught. Nice running catch by the right fielder, Jones. I'm sorry, the right fielder, the bottom of the 7th. So it's the right fielder, Strawberry, out there. So it's F9. Looked like it was going to drop in for a second. And look of disgust on Jordan's face has to be noticed. And it's a 2-7 now. 2-7 on Lance Parrish. A 7 is a strikeout. Down on strikes, and that is 6. That is strikeout number 7 for Sid Fernandez. 2 outs. Sid Fernandez is retired. Now he's retired 8-9 batters in a row. Here's the pitch to Fernandez, and that's a 5-5. And that's ball 4. So a 2-out walk to Jones. And it's Chris James, the third baseman for the Phillies. James is 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice to shortstop. Here's the pitch. And let's see what that is. It's a 1-6. A 1-6 is a shot into the gap. And let's see if that turns into 2. It's a split die, and we roll a 2, and that he will go into second base. Stopping at third is Jones. It's going to be second and third now with 2 outs. So, first time in the game that, or the second time in the game that the Phils have had a runner in scoring position. It just so happens they have runners at second and third right now, which would be enough to tie the game in the event of a single by Jackie Gutierrez, who batted .250, .247, 4 doubles, 0 triples, and 0 home runs, and we're going to let him bat just because. I mean, not a 250 is not too shabby. We're going to let him stay in there. If the pitcher comes up next, so we're going to let Sid Fernandez see if he can get out of this jam himself. There is action in the Met bullpen, and that's a 2-6. That's off Jackie's card. Let's see, 2-6, and that's popped up. Left side, high pop up, and Bachman and Elster look at each other, but Elster calls for it, and that is out number 3. So the Phils lose a great opportunity to tie this game with runners in second and third. Jackie Gutierrez pops up, and we go to top of the 8th now. It's going to be Strawberry, McReynolds, and Johnson against Marvin Freeman. Here's the pitch to Strawberry, and that's a 2-12. A 2-12. That ball is lined and caught by the second baseman Samuel. Out number 1. Kevin McReynolds now, and that's a 5-7 off of Freeman's card. A 5-7 is ball 4. So Freeman's given up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 walks. So obviously he has some issues with control. He walked 43 in 52 innings. So he has control issues. And it's going to be Kevin McReynolds with 1 on and 1 out in the top of the 8th. Mets lead at 2-0. And it's going to be a 2-7. A 2-7 is a fly ball lifted to left. In comes Bradley, pounds the glove and makes the catch. 2 outs. And Howard Johnson. I'm sorry, that was Howard Johnson. What was that? 2, I think it was 2-7. It was 2-7, and on Johnson's card, I looked at the wrong card. It's a walk. So that's ball 4, and that may be all she wrote. That will be all she wrote for Freeman. 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning. And we will bring in a new pitcher to face Gary Carter. Gary Carter is 3 for 3, 2 singles and a home run. And Bruce Ruffin is going to come in. He's going to rough it. And Bruce Ruffin is 6-10 with a 4.43 ERA. And he will be pitching for the Phils. And as against Gary Carter, here's the pitch to Carter from Bruce Ruffin. And that's a 2-6. A 2-6 is a hard hit ground ball right at the shortstop. Gutierrez over to Samuel. Back to Jordan. 6, 4, 3. Double play. Great job by Ruffin, who with 1 pitch gets Gary Carter into a double play and erases the 2 runners on base. And we go to bottom of the 8th. 2-0. The Phils holding on, not allowing the Mets to gain any further advantage, keeping them to just 2 runs so far and keeping it within reach. So we had a double switch on that. We were going to switch out, let's see who we have here. Oh, you know what? Let me see who we, Kevin Gross. Dude. We're going to do Greg Gross came in. We're going to put Ruffin here. And we're going to do Gross in right field. And Gross is going to bat there. His probably only at bats. And here's the pitch from Sid Fernandez to Greg Gross. Greg Gross batted 203 in 88. So it's 6-12 on Sid Fernandez's card. That's a right field X. Now, with Strawberries in right, he is a 3. So we're going to look at a 3 under 10, and that's a ball that Strawberry handles out number 1. And let's see. Next is going to be Phil Bradley. And that's a 6-8. That's again off of Fernandez's card, a 6-8. It's going to be a strikeout. That's Fernandez's 8th strikeout of the game. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Mets lead it 2-0. Here's the pitch to Bob Dernier, and it's going to be a 2-6, so that's a 2-9, and that's lined, base hit, frozen rope, center field. 2 outs, and Dernier's on at first. Now he's an A base stealer, but they need more than 1 run at this point. So let's see what Juan Samuel can do here. 32 doubles, 9 triples, 12 home runs, 243 average. Here's the pitch from Fernandez. It's a 6-10 off Fernandez's card. Let's see what that looks like. Fly ball lifted to right. Strawberry's back a few steps, makes the catch, out number 3. Go to the top of the 9th. For the Mets, it's going to be Elster, Fernandez, and Dykstra. Elster, Fernandez, and Dykstra against Bruce Ruffin. Here's the pitch. Elster, it's a 1-9, and that's popped up. Left side. Third baseman calls for it, out number 1. Sid Fernandez is going to bat. And that's a 5-7. That's off of Ruffin's card, a 5-7. That's a strikeout. I usually, when I do these scorecards, I color in with pencil the area that the relief pitcher came in to basically signal that, hey, there's a new pitcher in the game. And next is going to be Wally Backman. Wally Backman. And it's going to be a 6-12, and that's a ground ball. Weak ground ball to first base. And Jordan takes it himself. 3-U, out number 3. And we're going to color that in. And we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. It's going to be Jordan, Parrish, and Jones in a 2-0 Met lead. And the starter, Sid Fernandez, is still in the game. He's gotten 8 strikeouts. He's allowed 2, 3, 4 hits. So he's having a decent outing. He's walked 1, 2. He's walked 2. So he's still in the game, and he's going to face Ricky Jordan. Ricky Jordan batted .308. Here's a pitch to Jordan. It's a 1-5. A 1-5 is a fly ball lifted to center. Dykstra, couple of steps to his left, pounds the glove. 1 away. Lance Parrish. Lance Parrish is 2 for 3. Doubled, singled, and struck out in the 7th. And Parrish, catcher for the Phillies, batted .215 with 17 doubles, 2 triples, and 15 home runs. Here's the pitch, and it's a 3-3. And that's a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 9 for Fernandez, finishing strong. Sid Fernandez. Was 12-10 with a 3.03 ERA in 1988. And here is Ruffin, the pitcher, so we're going to see a pinch hitter. It's 2-0 Met lead here in the bottom of the 9th inning. It's going to be Milt. I'm going to bring in Von Hayes. Von Hayes, going to pinch hit Von Hayes. Hayes, pinch hitter. It's right there. Tells me there's a pinch hitter. The dice are here. Von Hayes against Sid Fernandez. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. Mets are up 2-0. Fernandez has a 4-hitter. Here's the pitch. It's a 6 off of Fernandez's card, a 6-7. And that's a swing and a miss, and strikeout number 10. The Mets win it by a score of 2-0. On a 4th inning home run by Gary Carter. That was the only run, a solo shot by Gary Carter in the 4th. That was the only run they were going to need. They did threaten in the bottom of the Phillies did threaten in the bottom of the 7th with 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs, 2nd and 3rd, and Gutierrez, the shortstop, at the plate, and the manager for the Mets elected to stick with Fernandez. He showed that he had confidence in the hurler, and the move paid off. He got Gutierrez to pop up to the shortstop, and the Mets go on to win the game by a score of 2-0. So that's a 1988 game between the Phils and the Mets in Philadelphia. And going over the scorecard, it's F9 means a flyout 9, a K again means a strikeout, a W a walk, that's a double. And then it's a pop. If it's a pop-up, it'll tell you, and it's a pop-up 6. That's my third out. That's what I do there. Then I put an X to know that I start the next inning at the X. See that? So then this was a flyout to the right fielder. This was a strikeout, a single, and a flyout to the right fielder again for out number 3. And then the X. So I just wanted to go over this for somebody who spoke to me about not knowing how to keep one of these scorecards. So you really have to learn the numbers for each position, and when it tells you, like the game will tell you, ground out to first base or ground out to shortstop, you got to know that the shortstop is a 6 and the first baseman is a 3. Now, I guess you also have to know that certain balls go to first base to be able to, so if it's ground out to shortstop, unless the shortstop runs across the field with the ball and steps on the bag at first, he's gonna have to throw it to the first baseman. So there I would have something like a 6-3. So this was a ground ball to Elster in the bottom of the 5th by James, and then Gutierrez followed up with a ground ball to Elster as well, and then it was a strikeout of the pitcher Freeman. So you see when it's a ground ball to either 5, the third baseman, 4, the second baseman, or 1, the pitcher, I don't know if we have any of those, they would have to normally don't try to beat the runner to first. I mean, seldom will you see even the pitcher, who's much closer, take it himself to first base. That's very unusual. You will see it, periodically, but again, few and far between. So usually, what you'll see more often is the first baseman, a ground ball to 3, flip it to the pitcher covering, and every so often I'll sprinkle one of those in there just for fun, me kind of creating my own thing, doing my own thing. So that's it for this game. It's a 1988 game. There's 2 more games against the Phils. I wanted to broadcast this one. I picked it up from the home run, Gary Carter's home run in the top of the 4th, and I ran through this, and that basically took us about half an hour. I feel that I don't want to go very much beyond half an hour, but I think what slows it down a lot is my commentary throughout the game. So I'm trying to keep it a little bit shorter, and if it's a really good game, I'll kind of hold off until about the 4th. If it's a blowout, I won't broadcast it at all anymore. It's just not possible, and I know everybody is kind of busy but this is a great, Strat Basic is, you never know what's going to happen. It's very, very exciting. So when I'm broadcasting, you can feel the excitement and the tension in the game, because I don't know when I roll what it is on the card. Every card is different. Some columns one are great for the batter, and other ones one is a terrible column for the batter, and vice versa with the pitchers, the same sort of thing. So that's why this system is genius. And not only that, this system allows you to read a lot of the results from the actual cards. So I'd say about 80% of the results come from the cards, which is what I love about Strat. I'm not a big chart guy and looking at lots of charts. These are few and far between in the charts, and pretty much you can memorize almost all the charts. And it's just common sense, and it plays pretty fast, and I really like Strat. I like the big cards, and I like the whole mechanic of the system. Really good. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to let everybody go and say bon voyage and arrivederci and hasta la vista and adios and see you later, alligator, and hasta la vista, amigo. All right, take care, guys. Combat Painter is Tabletop Winner channel, broadcasting from time travel, 1988, end of the season, September, I think it's 27th. End of the season, the Mets at Phillies, and the Mets will make it to the playoffs that season. So all these games do count for the Mets. So you're getting all the regular players, the Hernandez, the Strawberries, the McReynolds, Johnson. There are a bunch of injuries on the Mets, But the main players are still available towards the end of the season. So that's about it. And sayonara, guys. Talk to you soon.